Welcome to Post Birdie Podcast. Special guest, Milwaukee Tour Director Keith Cowan. Thank you for joining me today.
Hey, thank you for inviting me, Jeremy. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
Yeah, we have a dual tournament this week up at Thunderhawk. Milwaukee's coming down and we're going up and we're meeting halfway.
Yes, it's a great location. Everybody has to travel to get there, and so it makes for a good combination of players. Last I checked, we have about 20 Milwaukee players that are going to be competing in the tournament.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, let's start with a little player profile. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Let's see. I'm married. I've been married for 32 years. It will be 32 years in August. To my wonderful wife Victoria, and we have one son, Nelson, who is he's 24 years old right now. He'll be 25 in July. You know, he's a golfer, a pretty good golfer himself. I'll say that I started playing golf at an early age. When I was about 6 or 7. My father was an avid golfer, and I just wanted to be, how any son is, wants to be like his father, play golf. I practiced. He would take us to the driving range, my brother and I, and we would just hit balls, and we would ride in the cart with him during his rounds, and we had a great time. So I was in love with the sport early. Unfortunately, I stopped playing before I even became a teenager. So, I took many years off and finally picked the game up again when I was in my mid 30s. And I've been playing ever since, for about I would say about 30 years now, and I haven't gotten much better. I'm a struggling D flight high handicapper. Handicap is about 19 right now, so I'm right on the verge of moving up to C. But I just need to eliminate some of those pesky penalties, the errant drives and such. So, I'll get there this season. That's my goal, to get into the C flight and just have a couple solid rounds under my belt.
Funny thing you say, got to just eliminate some of the mistakes and some of the errant drives. You could literally say that about every person in the amateur golf week. We all say the
Yes.
same thing. If I could just drive it a little better, if I don't have to count swings that I don't swing at, my score will be so much better. I say that
Yes.
every single tournament.
And it's tough because, you go out with the best intentions of concentrating on every swing and doing all the right things, and then one just gets away from you, and next thing you know, you're taking a drop somewhere because the ball's lost in the out of bounds in the trees or something. So, but this is my goal this year is to definitely reduce the number of penalties I have. Those are killing me. I've shot some really good rounds in like the low 90s, 91, but I still had 6 penalties. It's like I know I can do this. It's just a matter of stopping making some silly mistakes.
Yeah, I hear that. And now you're the tour director up in Milwaukee. How long have you been
Yes.
involved with Golf Week?
So I've been involved with Golf Week for about 2 years. Well, it has been 2 years now. I had been looking, I played with my a work league for a number of years, and I enjoy the competitive nature of that. And then I started about 4 or 5 years ago. I started playing in this Wednesday night, just bar league kind of thing, and it wasn't very competitive, but I still wanted to be competitive, so I was looking for an opportunity, and I found it at Golf Week. It is an excellent opportunity for a amateur golfer to compete at their level with other players. And at the same level. And that's the beauty of Golf Week Amateur Tour, is that you're able to play against other players at the same level, and it's all stroke play. So you're not really giving, you don't have to give other people strokes because they are much worse, and you're not getting strokes because you're much worse than, someone else that you're playing. So you're going heads up stroke play, and it just makes it fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you won a tournament yet?
Yes, I've won 3. So
Oh,
I
wow.
was I was fortunate enough in my first season to win a tournament. You know, I really hadn't paid too much attention to the score. Well, I didn't know how to get to the leaderboard in the app, so I wasn't looking at my score, wasn't looking at any scores. Came up on the 18th green, and you know, I had hit a beautiful drive. I mean, it was almost drove the green, and it was on a par four too. And so there was a guy standing by the green when I drove up to my ball. He was like, "Hey, you know, are you Keith?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, so you know, I'm currently, you know, in second place, and if you get more than a five on this hole, you know, I'll win." And I was like, "Oh, well, this is my drive." He looked at it. He was like, "This," and he just turned around and walked off. Because I mean, and I ended up parring the hole, but it was, you know, I could have done better, but I didn't have to. So I still won. It was a good round.
Very nice. What's your best finish in the points?
Honestly, I don't remember. I did go to national last year, but I don't remember the number of points. I came in third. I know that much. But I was in the in the running and during our championship. And so I just struggled on that course, you know. That's the other part I got to get better at is the controlling my just the emotions and the the being uncomfortable about in stressful situations and such. You know that hurt me. You know because I was doing well and then I just kind of fell apart at the end. So you know just managing my composure and such. But
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. I do know that I came in third place last year.
Well, that's a good start. Now, if you're right near that CD limit, if you stay in D flight all year, win a couple events, you never know. Take home the
Yeah.
points title this year.
That could be. I'm hoping to get there. I think we have a lot of good golfers coming out this year, a lot of new golfers. You saw Marty Mitchell last week win at the Village Links of Glen Ellen. You know, he's a guy that I play with on a regular basis, and he's coming out to win as he proved. He has a really good game, and some of the other guys that I know of that are out coming out to the tour are bringing their A games. You know, so I got to step up my game to compete.
Yeah, Marty said he shot 41 on the front side in 50-degree weather with 20 gusting 30
Oh
winds. So
yes, yeah,
that was
it
a
was
heck of a
terrible.
start.
Yes,
Well, let's
yeah,
do
it
a little
was.
what's in the bag. What kind of ball do you play?
I typically play for tournaments. I play a Titleist AVX. I've tried different balls. I like Callaway Callaway balls. You know, those the Titleist AVX seems to treat me well. I have a pretty good club head speed, so you know I get some good distance out of those out of the AVXs. It's just a matter of controlling where it goes.
Yeah. How do you mark your AVX?
I'm typically marked with four dots in a diamond fashion. So you know it's one up, one down, and one on each side. So it looks like it could be a diamond. So it's pretty pretty. I guess it is unique. You know, I don't see very many others. You know, some people put one or two dots on their balls, but I put four on there just so that I know for sure it's mine.
And what kind of clubs are you gaming nowadays?
So I'm playing Titleist what is it, 300s for my irons. And then I have the Ping 440 is my driver. I got fitted last year and I've been very, very happy with the performance I get out of that driver.
Yeah, I just got fitted for the Ping also. Went to PGA Tour Superstore. If you told me I was gonna walk out with a Ping, I would have laughed at you. But I hit about 5, 6, or 7 different drivers, and the Ping just worked for me. I'm in
Yes.
the 440,
Okay.
LST, low spin
LST.
technology.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the one I'm gaming right now.
Yeah. And, you know, I consider myself a Titleist guy. All my clubs are Titleist except for the driver. You know, I have the TSR keys for my three wood, and I have a four hybrid that I also play. And I like Titleist, but that ping just suited me much better than anything else that I played with. Uh, yeah, you know I can't say enough good things about it. You know.
Yeah. And now you're the tour director up in Milwaukee.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the schedule coming up here in Milwaukee.
We have a pretty good schedule. I mean, we have some really good courses that we're playing. We have a lot of standards. We have several courses that we've played over the years and that I've been playing in the tour. But then this year we're bringing in some new tournaments at TPC Wisconsin, which is a wonderful course. It is a championship course that they play the tour championship. Oh man, I lost his name. The guy from Wisconsin.
Steve Stricker.
Steve Stricker, thank you. Yeah, it's his tournament. It happens in early June, and we get the ability to play the course at the end of August, the 22nd of August, I believe it is. So it's going to be a great time. It's filling up fast. So if anyone's interested in playing TPC, you got to get your name in there and, get your payment in because those slots are filling up very fast. We're also playing the Bull, which is up in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. It's a very difficult course, and that's going to be our championship course this year, our championship tournament at the end of the season. And that's going to be a very good course to play on and very difficult. And it's gonna prove out who is the better golfer in each flight. So I think that's is great. It's gonna be a great tournament.
Are you planning on doing any regionals this year?
I wanted to, unfortunately, because I just took over in January of this year. I did not get to set the schedule. Much of the schedule was done prior to me taking over, and as a result, a lot of our tournaments fall on the same weekends as the regionals. I will be playing with the Chicago tour July 12th and 13th, and that's in where's that going to be? I can't remember.
TPC Deer Run.
Yes, TPC Deer Run. Thank you. Yeah, that is going to be an excellent tournament to play, and I'm looking forward to that one very much this year. That's going to be great. I think that's a 4-state tournament also because I think Indiana or Indianapolis, and then Iowa and Wisconsin and Chicago tours, or Milwaukee and Chicago tours are going to be a part of that. So that should be pretty nice. It's all I don't know if it's a true regional, but it's gonna seem like a regional based on, the participants.
Yeah, it's not a regional, but it is a major for Chicago at least.
Yes.
And you're right. There's plenty of people that are going to want to play right after the pros play. We're playing the weekend after,
Yes.
playing Fire Lake on Saturday and TPC Deer Run on Sunday.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. That's definitely will be a great tournament to play. I'm gonna encourage my guys from Milwaukee to come down and, show a presence, and hopefully, we can, do well in that tournament.
Well, this weekend we'll see you guys coming down to Thunderhawk.
Yes.
Weather should be better than it was 2 weeks ago.
It can't get much worse. I mean, barring snow and sleet and rain, I don't know if it can get much worse than it was last week. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. One of the things I want to talk to Bill about is maybe opening up the Ryder Cup style play between Milwaukee and Chicago in the future. I want to get a little more the competitive juices going between the two tours. We enjoy playing down in Chicago, and I enjoy having the guys from Chicago come up to play with us. But it would be great if we could do it as in a team spirit. Have the Wisconsin versus Illinois groups.
Gauntlet's been thrown down. We'll see what we can do. We've had it in the past, but it's been a
Yes.
couple of years, so we'll need to get that going again.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe we can do it, and I intend to talk with Bill about it. I'm wondering if we can get something going for either next year or maybe even the year after. But it would be great to get a couple guys together and form a couple Ryder Cup teams and have a nice little competition.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you next weekend at Thunderhawk.
All right, thanks for having me, Jeremy. I appreciate it. This is a great opportunity, and I'm happy to speak with you. So thanks.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Hey, this is Jeremy Schneider with a Post Birdie podcast. Once again, joining me today, tour director in Chicago, Bill Prosecky. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to tournament number 2 on the schedule.
Coming up pretty quick. We'll start with the points race. As of right now, points are the point leaders generally have played more tournaments than the rest of us, especially in the champ flight
Hmm.
with Luke out to a big lead.
Right. Yeah. He got his regionals points, or his start on his regionals points, out of the way pretty quick. So his lead in the points is safe through this tournament. Somebody's going to get 450 points. Might be him even, but somebody's going to get 450 points in the champ flight, but that's not going to be enough to catch him. His lead is safe in points through Saturday at least, but we got a big champ flight field. I think we got 15 in the champ flight, so plenty of guys who are looking to chew into that lead a little bit on Saturday.
Well, I do have to apologize to all the champ flight guys because I'm the one who informed him that he could play in more events and get better points this summer. So
Well, that's
good
a good
luck to
learning
all
for
you guys in
everybody, though.
champ
If you've
flight.
got he's probably one of the guys who's most apt to get more points, just because he'll go to any ends of the earth to play in these tournaments, and he's on the road a lot anyway. So if he happens to be, if he's within, knowing him, if he's within an 8-hour drive, I want to say, of a regional, and there's a spot, he's probably going to play it. So there's a chance he could get some more points and make up for one of his other regionals. But for now, we're just all trying to chase him down.
Well, you'll have to play well the next couple tournaments to do that. His lead is pretty big at this point. Moving down to A, the winner from last week, Mason, is not going to be at this tournament this week, so it's possible we'll change points leaders.
Very possible, yeah. We do have a couple players from other tours in the mix in the A flight, but once again, somebody's going to get 450 points, and if it's a Chicago player, then they're going to jump Mason for that points race lead. Again, it's early in the season, but never too early to think about where you stand in the race.
What do you see in C flight?
A C flight, Ed Mallett's got the lead right now. Just looking to protect that lead. I think he's up by 230 points, I believe, but he's got a regional under his belt. He played the Vegas regional back in January, and he is playing this Saturday. So he's looking to do, I'm sure, everything he can to, if not just win outright, then protect his points race lead too. The other flights, the B and D, the points race leader is also playing. So we got a brand new member, Brandon Perillo, brand new to the tour this year, came out and won his first event at Glen Ellen in the B flight, and he's also playing on Saturday. And then in the D flight, we got Josip Varda in the lead right now, and he's also playing on Saturday. So both of them are going to be looking to just protect and potentially extend their lead.
Down in D flight, the first tournament was won by somebody from Milwaukee, so the points are a little more jumbled in D flight in Chicago because of the 450 going up north to Milwaukee.
Right, yeah. And basically, I think mathematically, I believe Josip has to finish. If he finishes, we do the math. If he finishes third, he'd get 225. It'd be 500. He's got to finish at least third to protect his lead. Because if he finishes third, he'll get 225. That'll be 500 points. So I think he's got to be toward the top of the leaderboard, put it that way, to protect that lead. But it's early in the season yet. It's still a wide open race in most flights. And I would say that, maybe this is me being optimistic, I would say even in champ flight, the race is still pretty open. I mean, Luke's got a big lead right now, but he's got 3 regionals. He already played 3 regionals. I don't think anybody in champ has played. I played one, but I don't think anybody else has played any regionals at all. So there's it being, this early in the season. There's still a lot of opportunity, but for the most part, points races are wide open. But if Luke's standing is any indication, it's important to get those points early because you'd rather be in the lead than trying to chase, at least as far as the points race is concerned.
Who do you have coming in the champ flight for this tournament?
That's going to be this will be a good field. So we've got Matt Payne coming back after shooting a 68 in those ridiculous conditions at Glen Ellen, and the weather's supposed to be a lot nicer on Saturday. So he's coming back, coming off a 4-under round. I'm sure he's looking to do it again. But we've also got Christian Wakeford in the field, and he has always been one of the top guys to beat in champ flight. He doesn't play as many tournaments as some of the others, as myself or Luke or Jake or the usual suspects in the champ flight who play every single tournament. But when Christian's in the field, you always got to watch out for him on the leaderboard. So it should be a good tournament. Guys in champ flight are going to have to bring their A game to stack up with Christian and Matt in that field for sure.
How big is the field going to be for the tournament this week?
We've got an enormous field. We have 98 as of this recording right now. We got 98 players paid for the tournament, and we got one more tee time from the course, so we can sell out at 104 players. So we have not had a tournament this big in over 3 years. The last tournament to have at least 98 was the season opener in 2023 at Cantini, where we had 100 even. So if we then potentially we'll go past that number. If we sell out at 104, that's going to be the largest tournament since sometime in 2022. So really, really sizable field in all flights. So we were talking about champ flight. Guys are going to have to play their best game to stack up against the competition. But I think that's true in any flight. We've got like 22 players in the B flight. I think 24 right now in the D flight. So it's going to feel like a regional out there, I think, with this many people in the field.
Thunderhawk is kind of a unique routing, as we have 5 par 5s, 5 par 3s, and 8 par 4s.
Yeah, it's a good test though. It's an interesting course. You can, on most holes, not all, you can be a little wayward off the tee and get away with it. The fairways tend to be pretty wide. The green complexes tend to be pretty wide. But because it's so wide, it's one of those courses where you've kind of got to play the right angles, right? Like you could be in the fairway, but have to carry bunkers and water or something like that to get to the green, versus if you're on the totally opposite side of the fairway, you can have, a much more visually easier shot to deal with. So, but it's a good course. I think it's routinely in the list of top 10, 20 courses in the area. So it should be a good time for sure.
With the 3 par 5s, we usually have par 3 game. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so typically most courses will have 4 par 3s, and then we'll split into 2 groups. So Champ and A flight will be in one group for closest to the pin, have one hole on the front 9, one hole on the back 9, and then we'll put B, C, D flights in another group, and they'll do the same thing. They'll have one hole for closest to the pin on the front 9, one hole on the back 9. The extra par 3 in the mix, we're going to play the 17th hole as all flights in one pot. So your $10 buy-in, if you want to play it for closest to the pin, we're going to do $3 for each of the close to the pin holes you're eligible for, and your last dollar will go into our hole-in-one pot, which after Village Links, I believe we had 50-something people get in, so we had $112 in the pot, and we should get a decent amount of money in that pot for this year, or for this week, sorry, too, with so many people in the field. So you got 5 chances to get a hole-in-one and win most likely a couple $100 on top of whatever you'd win in the closest to the pin pot as well. But it's so there is that opportunity, but those par 3s can get challenging. I don't think there's an easy one on the course. The shortest one is probably 15, which I think is like, from the tees we're playing in Champay, I think it's only like 140. So the tees that they're playing in the C and D flight, it's probably only about 100 yards. But there's a big swale off the right side, like a collection area, bunker on the left, bunker on the right. A lot of slope in the green that you don't really see. It's harder than it looks, put it that way. And there's a lot of holes like that on the course where just visually standing on the tee box, you might think to yourself that it's a pretty easy hole, but then when you get out there, you got to play the right angle, you got to play the right slope, you got to pay attention to the wind because it can get out in the open. So you can score, but it can also come up and get you at the same time.
Let's talk about some of the holes. What are the scoring holes out there? Where do you need to make par or better to pick up some room on the field?
I think the scoring holes it's a good layout of the course because you start out right away, I think, with 2 scoring holes. The first hole is an enormously wide fairway, and it's not that long for a par 4. So if you hit a good drive, you're going to have, short iron, maybe even a wedge into a huge green. And then 2 is a par 5, and you can get there in 2 if you're a long hitter, but the green is not that large. So long hitters are probably going to be somewhere around the green in 2. And even if you don't go for it, again, the fairway is enormously wide. So you have plenty of room to lay up to whatever number you want to lay up to and give yourself a comfortable third shot. So right out of the gate, you have 2 good scoring holes. But then the course kind of shows its teeth. 3, 4, 5, and 6 are, if you can, in Champ A, if you can get through those 4 in even par, maybe even 1 over, you're probably doing fine. Down in C and D flight, if you can play bogey golf through those 4, you're doing just fine. Those are tough holes. But then I think the scoring opportunity comes like right in the middle of the round. So if you get off to a bad start, 7 and 8 are prime scoring holes. 9 is kind of tough, but then 10 and 11 I think are prime scoring holes too. 7 is a par 5, but it's not that long. And if the wind is blowing in the right direction, or if you're a longer hitter, there's this big fairway bunker that goes down the left, but you can just blast it right over that bunker. From the tees that we're going to play in the Champ A flight, I think it's only maybe about a 240 carry or so, and I think most guys in Champ A can probably get that. And then even down in B, C, D flight, you're going to have maybe somewhere between 200, 220 to carry that. And even if you don't, you can play out to the right. But if you hit a good drive, you could have less than 200 yards into that hole on a par 5. And so especially in Champ A, that hole is, you better be making birdie or better, or else you're probably going to lose a step. And then 8 is a short par 4. If it's downwind, you can drive it. If it's not downwind, then you can at least have a short little flip wedge in there. So my point being that if you get off to a bad start on this course, you can pick up ground pretty quick on 7 and 8. 9 is a tough par 4, but if you can get through there with a par or even with a bogey, 10 is pretty gettable, and 11 is another par 5 that with a good drive, you can either get there in 2 or you can give yourself, a pretty simple third shot to get in there. So the chance to make up ground, I think, is right in the middle of the round. If you get off to a bad start, or even if you get off to a good start and you want to just keep your foot on the gas and put some pressure on the field, those are the holes to do it, I think.
Yeah, tell me about the back 9 a little bit.
Back 9 is interesting. I'll say that. Back 9 gets a little bit more target golf toward the end. Whereas most of the holes on the front 9, you can spray it around a little bit with the driver and get away with it. Again, not every hole, but most holes you can. The back 9 gets a little tougher. So like I said, 10 and 11 are good scoring holes, but once you get to 12 is a not real short, but it's a shorter par 4. But the landing area is not as wide as it looks from the tee, and it's definitely less than driver off the tee. But if you push it to the right, you have almost no room before you hit the cart path and potentially go over the fence. And if you hit it to the left, there's room to find the ball, but you're going to have to navigate trees coming into the green. If you hit it in the fairway, then you're okay, but it's a lot tougher landing area to hit than it looks like from the tee. And then 13 is a long par 3. 14 is like a 90-degree dog leg, so you got to hit less than driver straight out and then hit a short iron over. 15 is that par 3 I talked about. It's short, but can get you. And then the finishing stretch, I think, is great. So the 3 finishing holes go par 5, 3, 5. But the 2 par 5s, you really can't get to them in 2. 18, maybe, but 16 is, again, a 90-degree dog leg after your tee shot. So you can't even really hit driver on that hole. You've got to just hit something out to the landing area, and then you're still going to have probably 280 to the green with water all down the right side of the hole. So it's a 3-shot par 5. Then you've got 17 to par 3, and then 18. You can go for it in 2, but I would only recommend doing that if you need to make like an eagle to tie or something like that, because it's a real like postage stamp green over water. So even though you've got 2 par 5s in the last 3 holes, and normally you would think, okay, this is your opportunity to, make a birdie or two and make a late run if you need to, they're not easy to get to. So the course kind of shows its teeth in those last couple holes. It's a good finishing stretch.
Yeah, it's a good challenge. And like you said, generous landing areas with the driver, especially on the front 9.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my kind of course. I don't like trees. I don't like bunkers in the middle of the fairway. I need to be able to spray the driver. My iron game is pretty solid, so I'll hit a lot of greens. And the fact that they have pretty big green complexes, putting is going to be a premium, especially 2 putting from distance.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, most holes have pretty large greens. So, it's one of those courses where if you want to just be a little bit more conservative and play toward the fatter part of the green and maybe not challenge a bunker or challenge a water and just, play to the left side when the flag is all the way on the right, that type of thing, you can certainly do that and get away with it. But you got to be a good long distance putter.
All right, Thunderhawk coming up in less than a week. Can't wait. I'll be out there.
I think we're just looking forward to it, and I'm happy that the weather forecast is looking good. Maybe a little on the cool side, maybe only getting to like the high 50s or so. Maybe we'll touch 60, but it should be a lot better than the last one. And they do have a continuous cart path through the entire course, so we don't have to worry about walking. At the worst case scenario, it would be cart path only, but I don't even think we need to worry about that. We're getting a lot of rain now. This is Monday that we're recording this, but it's supposed to be pretty nice, or at least dry throughout the week. So I think we'll be in good shape for Saturday. It should be a good day.
All right, we'll see you Saturday.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.